Annexation 101. As it is, as it always will be, via USA, which is international binding law over all of North America. Call it what you will. The natives call it Turtle Island. USA goes the same way. They go the same way as the North American Indians do. That's how they see it. Nothing will change statehood. We are not part of the USA. Whether Canadians want to believe that or not, you have to understand USA's laws as they're defined in what's called precedent, as it's always been for all 50 states of the Union. Annexation is a choice the people make to join the Union, not by force. USA does not believe in freedom by force. That's not freedom at all. You, the people of the region, territory, even a country in the sphere of North America, must in majority make that choice. Your politicians must apply for statehood. That is the only legal road to annexation besides selling a territory under 60,000 via your government. We are not a part of the United States. No matter how much people want to believe it, no matter how much cockamamie, fiction, created realities from Crown propagandists thrown at you, the tremendous liars, Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney, and all Canadian politicians who tell you that USA is going to force you, are liars. That has never been the precedent ever once in the United States' history. Now, does that mean they're going to go out of their way to support you, carry you? No. What's happening to us today as a country is that USA is saying, you know what? It's best for you to pursue the road of statehood, because we are not going to sacrifice the American people's economic state and condition for you people anymore. We're not doing that. We recommend you and your people pursue USA's defined annexation, meaning the sphere of influence is there. You're on the borders of their country, and they're saying to be able to do business with us appropriately on the world stage, you must become a state of the union. Otherwise, you're just another competitor, a scab against all American workers. What do I mean by that? In America, employers pay for the health care. Employers pay for the pensions beyond any measure comparable in Canada's system. Canadians are scabby. Doesn't matter, union, non-union, whatever realm and influence you think you have. When you compare yourself and what it costs to employ an American worker against what it costs to employ a Canadian worker, you see a vast difference. Meaning we're despairingly becoming larger and larger distance on our dollars. Here's USD up here. Here's CAD down here. And that spread has become larger. I've already shown you a massive graph over the life of Canada. There's also a British North America versus USA. And then there's the actual Canada versus USA. And you watch that disparity grow. Meaning Americans are made more uncompetitive via Canadians. Donald Trump's done. All subsidies from USA to Canada are coming to an end. All of that America carries for Canada on its security, its military routes, value and supply chains that they secure and you piggyback are coming to an end. We don't bolster people who don't pay taxes into the system, which means you're against the American people. You're competitively disadvantaging Americans, and they're subsidizing you, and they're saying, at least under President Donald J. Trump, game over, we're not doing it anymore. Pursue American annexation. You can take your Oxford definition and shove it where the sun don't shine. Everybody, I don't care who you are. You're not going to find a lawyer, a political scientist, and historian of credibility to deny what I've just told you. American annexation is not by force. Never has been, never will be. That is everything America isn't. Annexation's a natural process where the time has come. Better yourselves, better your economic condition, join the union, or fight us toe-to-toe economically. No problem. Get your own value and supply chains. Well, the liars Mark Carney, Pierre Poilievre, as was Trudeau, we can go through all of them. Every premier in Canada is a bold-faced liar. Every MP, every MLA, every MNA in Quebec, they're all liars. They're lying to you. There is no breaking USA, number one economy in the world. There's no way to secure China against the USA without really facing massive trade embargoes and crippling, debilitating economic condition. And even if we move forward, which Mark Carney, the liar, who's been lying to all of you and so many Canadians, and this isn't friends and followers, it's for you to share, to wake up the rest of Canada. We're growing and we need to continue that momentum. You have to be courageous. You have to continue to share. I do it every day in my life. I talk to people, even when they scream in my face, even when I get slapped in the face. I've been slapped twice in this trip. I've also had big groups of folks. Oh, wow. People who've joined us. I've got Quebecois who've joined us. It's amazing. And I do that without the ability to communicate in French, their grasp of English. And I'm doing tremendously better. Yes, there's a wall of negativity there, just like Ontario, sometimes worse. I've been listening to the radio here, the English. I know what they're telling the Quebecois, pounding into them, blaming Trump for all the created problems by the government of Canada. That's nothing to do with Donald J. Trump or the United States. I can promise you all of this, as published and proofed, was done under Joe Biden too. It was done under Barack Obama, this transition of USA calling Canada out and getting it done. And of course, Donald Trump's first term, it's been escalating bipartisanly. There's a report, 2022, that's under Joe Biden. Guess who's there? Donald Trump's number one, with Joe Biden, working on it partisanly. And it passed partisanly. Read what they say about Canada, what they want to do with Canada. You don't think they don't realize that Canadians are heavily taxed, subsidized, health, dental, Medicare, Medicaid style from the USA, and more, pensions, all of it, take and accept lower quality and standards just so that Canadian crown corporations can beat their American counterparts. They're even given land in Canada to own and control, which is illegal in the United States, the company store. There's things here about the Union of the United States that are amazing on this journey to Canada, the 51st state, that no Canadian really knows. And it's important, friends and followers, understand it. Annexation is done by your majority choice. Americans don't want people who don't want America. You've got to come around. And how do you come around? You have to learn what socialism and fascism, will do for you when the United States says, sorry, we don't support socialists and fascists. We don't support equity assigned. We only support equality of the person. We don't accept your class structure. We don't accept your extreme socialism or your fascism. We fought wars against that. We've been doing it since the 40s right through to the 90s and then some. Look at the Middle East and people going, bad America, bad America. No, it's good America. The best alternative the world's ever seen has been under America since World War II. If it wasn't for America, the world would be a dark, ugly place. People can't fathom history and reality. Show me a time when the vast majority had it great under the British Empire, or the French Empire, or the Spanish Empire, or the Ottoman Empire. Show me any time under kings and queens the world's ever been better for a vast majority of the people, who vast majority were not even made people, certainly had no property rights. People are delusional. They're out of touch of reality. They've been raised and reared into a vast brainwashing scheme by an elite who's wealthy beyond all measure, free to commit crimes that the average Joe Jane goes to jail for. They do it all the time. No harm, no foul. It's sick, it's deranged. Learn American annexation. It's not what people think it is. We're not a State of the Union. There's no mythical path of us getting there by stop paying your bills, don't pay your property taxes. Canada isn't real, it's a myth. It's real. It's recognized. USA holds all the treaties with UK that creates Canada. Oh, USA can end it tomorrow. Old Donald J. Trump, if he really wanted to, he could end unilaterally just as President of the United States, and there's nothing no Supreme Court of the United States, nothing the Congress or the Senate can do about it, because the President of the United States constitutionally can end any treaty they want unilaterally. Now, they can't unilaterally create treaties. They can bring them forward, and then they're voted by House and Senate, but not when it comes to terminating them. If President Donald J. Trump wants to terminate all the U.S.-UK treaties over what's Canada, aka British North America, if Donald J. Trump wants to remove those, you're going to expand all the northern states of the Union, and there will be over 40,900,000 Canadians in those American lands. Do you think UK or Canada could beat USA and say, no, you can't have those territories. We beat you 200 years ago for that stuff. 150 years ago, all the way up to the 1900s, over 100 years ago, we beat you. Well, that was weak, America. Rule number 1, law is only law with the ability to enforce the law. That is 101 in all law worldwide. Doesn't matter. If you don't know this, you're very childish, very immature as an adult. Think about it. When you're saying, I won't pay my taxes, the government can't make me, they'll throw your ass off your land. All these lunatics. If you want to have a revolution, be successful, not only overthrow your federal and provincial governments, but have the man and woman power armed to establish that military and police. Because if you can't, and the government overwhelms you, you'll all be charged for treason, you'll be sentenced, you'll go to jail, and there's nothing anyone's going to do about it. I don't see Canadians in the minority of a minority willing to do that. I don't see that. I pursue a legal path in their system, very tough, very challenging, made nearly impossible. But we're going to try. That's what I do. And that's the only thing I see. But I don't see anybody coming with narratives that answer and address the question. How are you going to enforce the laws that you think you're entitled to. How are you going to do that against the Crown, the RCMP, the Canadian Armed Forces entirely? How are you going to do that? Show me. You can't, because it's not real. It's a childish delusion. And if you don't believe it, there are hundreds of regions throughout the world right now today that have gone through it in the last 10 years. Losers! 99 out of 100. Millions killed, even in genocide, some of which you've seen, at least in the last 20 years, prosecuted for a handful. Millions died. No one, unmarked graves, ditches, burial mounds. That's what happens. That's called rule number 1. Law is only law if you have the ability to enforce it. If you don't have that, you're just talking out your rear end. You're very childish. A child, a simpleton. It's embarrassing. Americans think you're silly. And they have every right to, because America backs up what they say. And they're willing to go toe-to-toe for it since 1776. And they've done it over and over and over again. And they've established themselves and grown themselves to the most powerful force on the earth today. Nowhere in a realm of truth is that Canada. Not even close. Not even a schmidgen, smick. Not even close. Russia would wipe out Canada in a week. That's reality. Without nukes, they would do it in a week. Conventionally. And they would have you if it was not for USA. There's nothing Canada's going to do about it. Anyone talking about that, it's a delusion. But 41 million people are under the firm hand of the police, the justice, and the military in this country. I don't see a revolution possible. I don't see any these other narratives without the ability to enforce said narratives. None whatsoever. And all I see is people losing everything they got. That's not a narrative I want to pursue. We are not Canada, the 51st state. We're not part of USA in any way, shape, or form. None of you pay taxes to the United States. None of you are recognized in the United States. You don't even have immigration to the United States. You have no path to a green card. Does that sound like you're part of the USA? This is simpleton propaganda. And it's embarrassing that adults talk like that. It's frankly scary. And I hate to make this video, but it's called Annexation 101, as it really is. You will not find a narrative in the United States under a region of under 60,000 where the people didn't consciously make that decision in a majority vote. After pursuing with their political representation, with those who have the ability to enforce law. If you don't have the ability to enforce the law, you got nothing. Which means you have to win in the political system, the political arena. Or you pray that Donald J. Trump ends all the US-UK treaties over Canada. If you haven't read them, I've published them many times. I know there's a lot of new people. You can get mad and say, no, Canada's a myth or illusion, or I got this sig guy, he told me, blah, blah, blah. It's all BS. It's all fiction. It's all propaganda, largely coming from the Crown sworn to send you in the wrong direction. You have to do you. You have to take care of you. You've got to make Canada the 51st state a reality. You, the people. We need a majority for that. Not, I'm going to sit on my hands, wait for someone to save me, wait for Donald J. Trump, because I can promise you, Americans don't want those people. And even if Donald J. Trump does that, which I doubt he can, but I very much doubt he'll do that, it would take an overwhelming transition to communism and actual China moving in. And since China isn't investing in Canada, and Canada's investing everything it's got and ever going to have by debt loading us, the Canadians, all our children, our grandchildren, I don't see that happening either. China doesn't even have to do it. Your politicians are doing you in, and you're letting them. And if you believe in these fictions, these flights of fancy, these childish notions that a real serious adult should have the capacity to look at it and say, yeah, really, do I have the power to enforce this? Because that's the first rule of law, no matter where you go in the world. Every single professor of any law, I don't care, we can even go to communism. The communist Chinese that you want to transition to will tell you, without the ability to enforce the law, you got nothing. Everyone will tell you that. That's the first thing you learn. That's the only uniting truth of law worldwide, whether it's civil, whether it's common, whether it's natural, whether it's all kinds. There's so many legal systems. Doesn't matter. That's the truth. This video's important to share. It's the reality in front of us. It's what's there. There's nothing more outside of revolution. And so you wait for Donald J. Trump to annul a pile of UK-USA treaties over Canada, the former British North America. You can wait for that. Doubt that's going to happen. Or two, you get on board with PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists. You help build the party. We try to get registry, which is what I'm doing here today and tomorrow in Quebec. Or three, you get ready for a revolution. And you better have hundreds of thousands armed, ready to take parliaments, legislatures, and overthrow the police and military. Because outside of that, nothing's going to change. And you're going to end up like the 99.9% over the last 5,000 years who gets bulldozed. You end up in a ditch and an unmarked grave under a genocide. That's what happens to you when you try that without the ability to enforce the law. And I don't see hundreds of thousands in Canada. I don't even see 10,000. I don't even see maybe 500 people, I believe, that would be capable or willing to do that. And that is shit. I'm sorry. This is childish fancy. People talking about, oh, this and that, and oh, Canada's not real, oh, you don't have articles, oh, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. There are many countries that really technically shouldn't be. Because again, without the ability to enforce the law, you've got nothing. You've got nothing. And what I see in Canada is a country with a military, a police, all sworn to the crown, and they have a firm grip on everybody. And you're never getting out unless you do it legally or you revolt. And I don't see the many hundreds of thousands in that state of mind, armed, ready to do something like that. Not even remotely close, not even maybe 500 Canadians. I would wager. I don't even think there's 500 capable of doing that today. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. It's what you need to know. America, as it really is, not the Mark Carney, Pierre Poilievre propaganda lie. Justin Trudeau shares too. This is a go-to of the crown to lie to you, the Oxford way, the great lie, which is in no way, shape, or form any truth or history of the United States of America from the 13 colonies to today's 50. Not one history supports that tremendous lie. It's you, the people, who got to do it. We've got to do it. You and me, all of us. That's what it takes. And you'll never be an American if you can't come to that terms and that reality that you've got to get it done. There's nobody else. No one coming to save you. No divine dictator who's going to come help you. And that is just everything that's not America. God bless. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. Bye now.